And welcome back to yet another Buffalo pregame Sabres edition. I'm so happy to be here with Jared, Dan, and Sean as we discuss the Sabres winning their very first playoff series in 20 years, defeating the Boston Bruins in 6 games, just like Dan predicted. Good work, Dan. Um, so before we talk about the Canadiens series coming up, let's take a moment to reflect on the series that was. Is the fact that a series against a wild card team took 6 games something to concern ourselves? Sean, we'll start off with your analysis.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. Two, teams with, goalies that are good but not amazing. Definitely river hockey. If you follow Jeremy White at all, I mean, it's going to be river hockey. It's going to be so fun. These two teams are extremely young, extremely fast. Montreal is a bit bigger than us, so they might try to hit us like Boston was supposed to. So we'll see how that goes. But super excited for this series. Definitely wanted it over Tampa. Tampa's just like the old guard, and that's their time was kind of done, and I think Buffalo kind of put them in their place earlier in the year. But anyway, very excited for this. The last time Montreal went to or won a Stanley Cup, which was the last Canadian team, 1993, they swept the Sabres that year or game set. I don't know. I think they swept the Sabres that year. So very interesting. Some people that are Montreal faithful might come up with that, and hopefully we get some guys in the comments here talking about that because I know as far as passionate fans go, I think you guys got us beat.
They certainly show up in Buffalo and let us know that they're present every time the Abs are in town. Um, the road team was 5-1 in the series against the Bruins. Do you see, Dan, do you think that the performance on the road or a performance at home is something to be concerned for the Sabres in this upcoming series?
I think I would more so highlight the Sabres' road performances than their home. I think maybe the first couple games there might have been some, playoff jitters. I think they got that out of the way, so I'm not going to worry too much about that in the upcoming series. Boston's a great team, but that being said, it seems like the entire time that the Sabres were the better team and that I think they definitely showed that. So that was good to see. Now I think the Sabres are going to get some home wins this series, so I won't look too much into that.
The Montreal did play a full 7 game series. 3 of those games went into overtime. They have half the rest the Sabres do coming into this game. Would you rather have seen the Sabres Montreal series kick off on Tuesday, or do you think that the amount of rest comes into play much at all? Dan, sorry, I meant to stick with you.
No, I don't think it's gonna factor too much. Sometimes you almost see, like, at least in the NFL, where the team with the bye almost comes off of that bye a little bit rusty. So I don't think that the extra day will really have play too much of a role for either team. I think they're both going to be ready to go. It's going to be an exciting series. Two hardcore fan bases. Obviously, as you mentioned early, Randy, that a lot of times they take over our building, and it makes sense in a way. Given that half of southern, not maybe not half of southern Ontario, but a large portion of southern Ontario is probably closer to Buffalo than they are Toronto, and a lot of them are probably Montreal fans. I don't think you'll see too many or as many Montreal fans in Buffalo compared to the regular season, but yeah, no, it's gonna be a great series.
Sean, as our resident physical therapist, any thoughts on the extra time the Sabres had, or is it too long and they're getting rusty?
Heck no, man. Their strength and conditioning staff is pretty solid. I will say, that was a very physical series against Boston, and at least Josh Stone, man, getting just his face slammed into the glass on that, basically final goal or game sealing goal. I know they didn't win from that goal, but it was like the end of the game basically. Yeah, he might have some concussion. So I mean, brain injuries are all different, but having a couple extra days to recover, I think is going to be useful. And honestly, Boston was extremely cheap in that series, so I'm sure there's a bunch of Knicks that the Sabres picked up. And honestly, I think it plays a big role in how fresh they're going to be. And, I think we're both really fast teams. So I think that gives us a little bit of an advantage as far as having what, 3, 4 days rest. I think that plays a large role. I mean, I don't think this is football where it's, you're playing once a week. Like this is, back to back to back. So definitely a bit different than sport like that. That being said, I will say Montreal only had one more regulation win than Boston. So 33 versus 34. Very big thing there because everyone, I mean, that's pretty similar in my opinion. I think, yeah, go
And
ahead.
they had the most overtime games of all, like they led the league in overtime games too. While we have your medical expertise here, Carrick was initially ruled out, and then today Lindy said that if there's good news from the doctor that he might be practicing with the team tomorrow. Like with a hand injury like that, what might cause like a day-to-day change, like 1 day change? Because it would be really nice to win a face-off in our own zone this series.
You know what? I don't know if you need him, but I think they obviously they had that one game where they didn't win like any face-offs. But I mean, you got to think about face-offs like hand. That's like a big thing for that. It's not like it's a wrist shot or something. I would think that that's more important for something that if he's a specialist in that. I also think that you don't tell your enemy what you got up your sleeve. So why don't you just keep them guessing like, oh, Carrick might come back, blah blah blah. You don't want to, maybe they'll keep someone up, or I don't know how that works for them, but
I think Lindy's actually pretty good at playing that game, so that's a good point.
yeah.
Dan, talking about not winning any faceoffs for us, they can barely get any shots off. Montreal won their last game, 2 goals on 9 shots. Do you have any weird matchup hiccup concerns against Montreal?
I mean, I think they play a very similar, like Sean was saying, I think they play a very similar style to what the Sabres do. I think had they ended up playing Tampa, Tampa kind of plays more of like a more talented version of how Boston plays. So, in terms of the matchup, I think it's going to be going back and forth all series. I think that Montreal, with Suzuki and Cole Caulfield, they got a lot of really young guys who are definitely can, go up and down the ice. So that's gonna be exciting to see how the Sabres respond to that because the Sabres have guys like that as well. And I think it's gonna be a battle. Boston definitely plays dirty. Montreal, I think that this is going to be a rivalry not only by the end of this series, but I think for years to come, this is going to be a fierce rivalry between the two teams.
Do you think the Sabres, Dan, do you think the Sabres keep on riding Lions, or once he loses a game, does UPL go back in, or they go more back to alternating like they did towards the end of the season?
Yeah, I think you got right now. You got to ride the hot hand. Lions has been playing well, so I think you got to go with him. Obviously, if the Sabres keep winning and make it to the next round, even I think eventually we're going to see UPL. But for right now, for game one, game two, I think you have to continue going with Lion.
Any strong opinion on the goalie situation, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Dan. I will say one thing that Lyon had a career record against Boston that was extremely favorable. I think he lost like 1 or 2 games, and he had played them in the playoffs too and won like 3 games or something before this series, and then he'd play them in the regular season, um, on another team or whatever it was. So he had their number basically, So definitely, I mean. This could be extremely high scoring game like series. I think we had a 9-6 game yesterday or whatever it was.
Yeah, wow.
Honestly, that could be this series because so goalies could be getting pulled. I mean, it might not even be the goalie's fault because this river hockey is going to be so fun to watch, I think.
Well, you got the gamblers excited, Sean. All right, Jared, I think you're a good one to talk about for this one. Just in terms of the structure of the NHL playoffs, Carolina, their series, they're going to have finished 2 games before the Sabres series even gets started, which means if they sweep like they did in the previous round, they might be waiting around for a long time before the Sabres series decided. What is your opinion on like the structure? Should the NHL have waited for that series to start?
Yeah, I thought about that too with the Canes winning 4-0. If they win 4-0 again and we have to face them, they've only played what 8 games, and we have the potential to play like 13. So it's rough. I think that's what they should do. Everybody starts at the same time, or I know not every team, but like the same day back to back, whatever, as opposed to the way they're doing it now.
So is that your prediction? 7 games?
Before I get my prediction, one quick thing about the goalie situation. The one thing I do want to point out is that the one particular game, I don't remember which one it was. Like I noted that Lyon barely there was no shots on goal, and I'm like, oh my God, Lyon's gonna get so much credit for this game, but like the shots on goal are so low, and I think that's something we got to keep in mind too in the goalie situation. That as how well the defense actually does keeping the puck out of the zone and
A
not
lot of
making
block
Lyon
shots.
or UPL work too hard.
A lot of block shots.
Yeah. So, prediction. Yeah, I'm gonna say Sabres in 7. I'm still gonna say Sabres. I think the Canadiens are gonna give us a little bit more of a struggle there, but and I actually wanted Tampa. I actually wanted Tampa because I think we did better than them in the season. But the good news is, Boston did better in the season against the Sabres, and that didn't matter in the playoffs. So, Sabres in 7.
All right, Sean, prediction?
Yeah, Sabres in 7.
All right. Oh, a long series. Dan?
Man, just to mix it up,
Give your actual prediction.
no, I think it'll be Sabres in 6. It's gonna be like I've been saying, it's gonna be an intense matchup. Going back and forth. Montreal is certainly a hostile environment to go play in, so we'll see how we do going into that environment. But the Sabres, they've been battle tested, so I do think that although they play similar styles of hockey, that the Sabres are more talented with the better coach, in my opinion. So I'm gonna say the Sabres wrap it up in 6, and then we win. We finish it in Montreal. I like the Sabres odds this series.
Well, I chose the Sabres in 5 last series, and I think they had trouble closing out game 5, just demonstrating their playoff inexperience. With 2 to 3 minutes left in the game, when the refs swallow their whistles, I don't know if the Sabres were ready for how brazen the Bruins were ready to be in terms of their penalty, their committing penalties that weren't called. So I think with a little experience on what it takes to close out a series, the Sabres will be able to pull off a 5 game victory this time. So there you go, quite the gamut. We do appreciate everyone tuning in to Buffalo Pregame Sabres edition. It's been the delight of my career here at Buffalo Pregame to finally talk Sabres. Heck yeah. And we won't do a draft. So that's even the best part. So we look forward to talking to y'all either way at the end of this series. And thank you so much. See you soon. Woo!
The Bills are doing their rookie mini camp this week,
Oh,
so
we're doing an episode for that?
no, you're good. Because we started at 8, we probably only have 20 more minutes. Oh, Dan,
Oh,
you all right?
it's fine. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
See, should have gone diagonal.